Poor leadership and corruption are some of the major contributing factors which have led to underdevelopment in most of the African countries, including Malawi. As such, there has been a retardation of progress and attainment of sustainable development. Basing on these challenges, one may be compelled to ask, of all the efforts, initiatives, techniques which have been employed to alleviate these challenges, how have we failed to achieve our goal? It's such an honor that in this special program in which Montfort Media is launching a book entitled The Dilemma of Leadership in Africa, we have the author of this book. Perhaps he shall explain more about this book and perhaps reveal more about the secrets of bad governance. I am your host, Evans Kanangaya, and I urge you, our debut viewers, to be there as we will be proceeding with our program shortly. Just as I said earlier on, that Montfort Media is launching a book entitled The Dilemma of Leadership in Africa. But before we go into the middle of the matter and leave the bare bones, would you tell us more about yourself?
Well, briefly, my names are PHILLIP KAMANGIRA. Of course, some people have given me a nickname called, they call me a mad thinker.
Oh.
Yeah, a crazy thinker, in other words. Yeah, I was born in 1976, to be specific, on 1st January, in a family of 9, but I'm the last born.
Oh.
Yeah, currently I work as a human, political and civil rights activist in this country, but I also hold some positions, be it at continental and local level. At continental level, I am the executive secretary for a continental organization called Africa Political Discourse, APD, which aims at establishing the foundations of peace and unity in Africa. As the book entails more, this could be also the basis as to why I enjoy working under APD, but I've also served in different boards like Youth Consultative Forum. I am a young politicians unionist as an alumni now. I also work for Center for Mindset Change as its executive director, but at the same time, I have to say I've served in this country as a political scientist and a social commentator.
Great to hear that.
Thank you very much.
So, looking at the career of writing, would you tell us, when did you start writing?
Well, to be specific, the idea of writing a book started way back. But gathering of real ideas of the dilemma of leadership in Africa started generating around 2015 thereabout. But the actualization of this process started in 2018. That is starting now, writing the ideas, converting them into wording, which people can appreciate. So I would probably say officially I started writing this book in 2018. But ideas were generated in 2015.
Oh, great. So, looking at the book you have written, the book entitled The Dilemma of Leadership, would you give us a picture about this book, an overview? What is it that book is talking about?
Well, this book emanated from the history of the icon leader of the world, who I call the best general, in my view, in terms of leadership. And this one is the late Nelson Mandela, the president of South Africa. Oh. And this book is dedicated to Nelson Mandela. When I read about his style of leadership, I was convinced that if many African leaders were to follow the footsteps of Nelson Mandela, I believe this continent would have been very far as compared to where we are today. But at the same time, I have also learned from the Pan-Africanists of this continent, the Kwame Nkrumahs, the Leopoldo Sedar Senghor, the Julius Kambarage Nyerere, and many more who have positively contributed. And if our current leaders in Africa were to borrow the leaf from these Pan-Africanists, I believe Africa would be a better place to live.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So would you tell us there are a lot of topics perhaps a person may write about?
Yes.
Yeah. What really motivated you to come up with this book entitled The Dilemma of Leadership in Africa? What was the motivation?
Well, if you see the cover of this book, down here there's what I call a spider analysis.
Sure.
This did not just come as many would suggest, but it means I was privileged to have some specific travels across the continent and beyond, in which I have learned how other people are managing their style of leadership. And having noted many in Africa, I realized that I should find out the reasons why this continent is not progressing. And the basic ending of it all is that our leaders are a problem in Africa. And mostly would wish, or most of them would wish to go into political leadership when they are not prepared. So they live in dilemma. If you check, most African countries are in political dilemma as we're speaking. Most leaders don't really know where to go, what to do, especially how to best manage the people they claim to govern. So it emanated from that kind of sense. That's the essence of this book, to say I recognized, I realized, I found out that most African leaders go into political leadership when they are not prepared to govern the people.
Sure.
Yes.
That sounds quite amazing, hearing about that the book encompasses Africa in general.
Yes.
So, perhaps there is a good number of people who have read your book. What is the feedback? What kind of things do they say about your way?
Well, in writing this book, I have had a lot of time to make consultations. I remember when the ideas started generating around 2015 thereabout, the first person who I met, I would be honest here, is Wisdom Chingwede. I really appreciate so much his technical guidance which he provided me at that particular time. Mr. Chingwede is my personal friend, and we have had time to interact. Then this day I went to him and said, look, my brother, I have this idea. So he said, okay, send me a small write-up just to see how best your ideas are. Then when he read the ideas, he came to me and said, my brother, you have a story to tell. Proceed. So I got my first courage from Nelson Wisdom Chingwede, the man who I salute very much. But also, when I started writing this, I had time to meet some dignitaries. I met academicians. I sent the write-up to professors, lawyers, some renowned human rights activists to look into issues of governance, who I may not be adequately able to mention, but we talk the likes of the Mavuto Bamusi has contributed. We have Noero Mtoza, the Kondwani, Noero Mtoza. This guy is such a brainy who I also adore very much. He provided technical guidance on this. We have the likes of the Chukumbutsonda Ferangande, the Writers Union President, and many more. Alexius Kamangira, who happens to be a lawyer, and many more. I really consulted to say, look, I want you to go through this. And when they had gone through this, they gave me a nod and say, young man, you can proceed. That's where I got the courage.
Oh, that's great. And it really shows that there was a comprehensive kind of research and consultation in order for you to come up with this book entitled The Dilemma of Leadership in Africa. Perhaps people may be inquisitive to know, based on the experience you have had.
Yes.
How many books have you written so far?
Currently, this is the only book that has been officially printed out and published. But as I'm speaking, I'm writing other 2 books. The second book is to be completed in the next few months to come, because it is a process. But it is talking about the cry of a prisoner. Yeah, tears from the prison walls. Why? Because I have done a specific research and found out who are our real prisoners in Africa. You would agree with me, the prisoners that we keep in our prison cells are not prisoners. The actual prisoners are celebrating with us out here. So people will read and understand what I'm talking about. But also I am writing a book about the paradox of religion in modern times, which people will also have many questions to follow and understand. So I am developing myself into becoming a writer.
That sounds great.
Yes.
All right, our dear viewers, in case you have just switched on to Luntha TV, we are live here on Luntha TV in this special program in which Montfort Media is launching a book entitled The Dilemma of Leadership in Africa. You can watch us live on Azam TV, Starsat, Zoku TV. You can also find us live on Go TV. And I urge you, our dear viewers, that was just the preamble. I urge you to be there as we'll be proceeding with our program shortly after this break.
Manifest.
Nanga bwanjizi kama ndichitikira izi mango yanganira utibande kanda esesa.
Malawi will on the 25th of November launch the commemoration of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence campaign to run up to the 10th of December 2022. The day will be commemorated under the theme Unite Activism to End Gender-Based Violence in Malawi. The theme is reflecting on the key role of men and women's rights movements in preventing and eliminating violence against all genders, and also to mobilize more people to show solidarity and support to end violence against men, boys, women and girls. Within the 16 days period, all stakeholders are requested to conduct various activities at national, district and community levels, aiming at raising awareness and mobilizing support towards the fight against gender-based violence in the country. The campaign will be launched at Luntha Secondary School ground, Tie Kapuka in Dedza district. The guest of honor at the event will be the Minister of Gender, Community Development and Social Welfare, Honorable Dr. Patricia Kaliati. Let us join hands to end any form of gender-based violence in Malawi.
You've been looking for a beautiful place to spend your holiday, a beautiful environment for personal, family or group retreat. Yes, you've been searching for that beautiful place that brings you the fresh air from the beautiful Lake Malawi. Guess what? We have that beautiful place for you. The Montfort Lake House in Mangochi, situated at Namiasi, just 15 kilometers from Mangochi Boma as you go to Monkey Bay. The Montfort Lake House has a conference center, self-contained rooms, internet access with Wi-Fi, dining room, and also a chapel for your spiritual reflection and meditation. All this at a very affordable cost.
Anyone who is thinking of coming here to the Pastoral Centre, I really endorse it. I do encourage people to come and use the facilities, and I'm sure you'll all enjoy it.
You can book us now on 0994 125 040 or 0884 840 444. The Montfort Lake House, the Montfort Lake House, a beautiful place to spend your holiday.
Welcome back, our dear viewers. So, Mr. Kamangira, you have told us about the picture of your book, as well as the motivation and the feedback which you have got from the people who have read your book.
Yes.
And it really shows that people have welcomed the book. And I urge you, our dear viewers, that you should also buy this book and appreciate some of the fundamental points which have been highlighted in this book. So, Mr. Kamangira, perhaps in each and every career there may be challenges. What are some of the challenges you have encountered in order for you to come up with this book?
Well, there are so many challenges, but to mention a few, it is something to do with time management. Considering the fact that I am also a responsible man, I have a family which I look after. And you know, being a father, it means a lot.
Sure.
So I had to divide my time so that I manage the affairs of my family, and at the same time, I also manage my career as a writer. Yeah, but I'm much obliged to my entire family members because they understood I have a duty, and the duty is that of becoming who I want, not because of my desires, but because of what I learned from others and what others have achieved. Yeah, so the most exemplary challenge that I faced very much is that of managing my time. But additionally, coming up with references, it's not easy because you have to read, you write, you delete, you sit down and say, how best do I put it? You know, you need to consider all citations from great minds of the world to make sure that the information in this book is rich and that there are more intelligent people out there than what others would thought of us. So you need to make sure that whatever you put across is compatible to the reasoning of the academicians. And you know, the scholars, they argue a lot. They come to you and ask you questions and say, okay, what are you trying to interpret here? So you explain to them and they say, okay, yeah, but make it more valid. Make it add more value to what you're saying. So all these things, to quantify them into a comprehensive document like this book, it does not be an easy task. But after all, here we are.
Sure. That is great
Yes.
to hear about the challenge and how you have managed to overcome the challenge.
Yes.
So, based on the experience you have had in the African continent and the research and the people you have interacted with,
Yes.
what piece of advice can you give to Malawians?
Well, as to Malawians, I would want, especially to those that are in leadership positions, be it political, be it church leadership, be it organization leadership, any institution that has a pillar of leaders on top, the best thing that I would advise them is that leadership is a service. Therefore, it should not be taken to be personal.
Sure.
Because one day, you will not be there. And to the followers, let us tell our leaders the truth. because most leaders have been spoiled as a result of the people who they believe in to work with. Other people are good at getting their personal interests as opposed to the vision of their leader. Leaders will appoint others to support so that the vision which is carried by them is finally implemented. Unfortunately, most vision carriers are surrounded by people who create what I call leadership genocide. Yes, whereby they end up destroying the leader himself, destroying themselves, destroying the people they serve. So we end up living in a crisis. From the leaders to the supporters to the subordinates, the entire nation is put on a crisis just because we fail to carry the vision of the one who is leading us. So my golden advice is simple. Let us do what is right and avoid what is wrong.
That is great. So, would you, based on how you have written a book, it's something which is appetizing.
Yes.
It gives you a motivation that a person may have that desire to read and learn from the book you have written.
Yes.
So, would you give us just a quotation from your book?
Well, I love this quotation which Nelson Mandela, as the one to who this book is dedicated. Sure. In November 2008, he said, and I quote, if we are to accomplish anything in this world, it will equally be measured due to the work and achievements of others. End of quote.
Okay.
So I said, if indeed we are to accomplish things, we must see what others have done and what others have achieved. I have just talked about the statesmen and women who motivated me to write this book. Maybe I would be honest with you to say it's not just about the Kwame Nkrumah, the Julius Nyerere, but there are people like the Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, there are people, the dead Kenneth Kaunda of Zambia, the late Hastings Comes Banda, Dr. Bingu Amtarika, Muammar Gaddafi of Libya, Helen Johnson, the first female president of Libya, I mean of Liberia, and many, many more. We are to follow their footsteps if we are to achieve anything in this world. So I would say this book is an intellectual masterpiece whereby people should have the appetite to read it, because the information that is here will help them even to generate themselves into individual leaders.
So, hearing about all those you have explained, would you tell us why should people buy this book? How unique is it that a person, or how worth is it that people should buy it?
Well, as I said, it is an intellectual masterpiece. People should not buy the book because it was written by PHILLIP KAMANGIRA. People should buy the book because there is quite interesting, helpful, and rich information in this book, which if they read, trust me, Africa will not be the same. And let me point out here to say, people would only think to say the dilemma of leadership in Africa is focusing much on political leadership. But as I said, it is generic. Every leadership that we have in this world should be interested to get this book. Because those leaders who are here now will not be there tomorrow. So every person who is having an aspiration to become a leader, be it young or old, they should buy this book, because the contents in this book are too exciting to mention. And considering the fact that it took me over 4 years to write this book, it is not a simple material. So I implore that people should buy it. The quality is nice. The editorial work is perfect. The compilation is just extraordinary. So they will enjoy reading this book, not because of just the topic, but because of what is compiled inside. Yes.
So when we talk about the topic of leadership, we may say that it applies in different aspects of life. Even in a family,
Yes.
we will find also an aspect of leadership
Yes.
at school, even at a national level,
Yes.
even as the global world.
Yes.
We also find an aspect of leadership.
Yes.
And as I look at this book, the topic, even the title itself, is something which is inclusive. And the ideal readers, it's not exclusive, so to say.
Yes.
So I urge you, our dear viewers, to buy this book and read it and appreciate how the book has been written and how important the book is. So people may be inquisitive to know how much is the book.
Well, the book is going at a very cheaper price, a Malawian price that is.
Yeah.
It's selling at 10,000 kwacha only
10,000
per copy. However, I am also planning to auction the book to different people at a different level. But to any common Malawian who would wish to buy the book at their own interest to know what is composed in this write-up, they can buy it at 10,000 kwacha.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Perhaps people may need to know this book is found in all Montfort Media bookshops. In Lilongwe at Bishop Navy Media Center, if you go there, you'll find this book there in our bookshop. If you are in Dedza, closer to St. Martin de Porres, we have also a bookshop there. Those who are in Zomba, we have also a bookshop at St. Charles Luanga. Those who are there, just go to the bookshop there at St. Charles Luanga campus. You also be able to buy your book. For those who are in Balaka, closer to St. Louis Parish, you will find also a bookshop there. You can also buy your book from that bookshop. For those who are in Mwanza, we have also a bookshop at St. Martin's Church. If you go to St. Martin's Church, you also find our bookshop there. Those who are in Blantyre at St. Pius, we also have a bookshop there. Perhaps if you need your copy, just go to our bookshop, you'll find it there. For those who are in Chikwawa at Dieratu Chenov, just go there, you'll find this book in our bookshop there. For those who are in Mulanje at Jitakale, we also have a bookshop there. And in addition to this book, which Montfort Media is launching today in this special program, in the bookshops I've mentioned, we also have assorted books, spiritual books, Bibles, school books, novels. We also have Rosalie's, Host, Mass Wine. We have different assorted items of your choice. Just go to our bookshops and you will appreciate the products we have in our bookshops. In addition to that, the book which has been launched today, Montfort Media will also be launching other two books entitled Chipateni and Other Unsung Songs, which was written by Dr. Zeleza Manda, and another book entitled Beyond Good Intentions, which was written by Hermani Mvula. So the book launch will take place on Saturday 3rd, this coming December. And I urge you, our dear viewers, to go and appreciate and witness this book launch, and perhaps appreciate some of the books which Montfort Media has published recently. In addition to that, Montfort Media is also promoting Malawian authors. Those who are interested in writing are promoted or encouraged to submit their manuscripts to Montfort Media, and their book can be published after it has been approved by our editorial team, and they will be entitled to royalty basis. In addition to that, Montfort Media also prints business cards, calendars, and different brochures. And that's where we do printing with an excellent expertise. If you consult us, you'll never regret. Once your work will be printed with Montfort Media. So, before we wind up our program, is there anything in addition to what we have shared which you would like to share with our dear viewers?
Well, I would want to mention a few things. Number one, we must understand that Africa is a rich continent. And our problem is not the continent or the people themselves. Our problem are our leaders, especially those that govern us from the political benchmarks. Therefore, I would want to call upon all African leaders to take Africa at their heart and consider the people they serve, they should not become masters. They must adopt stewardship and servant leadership. And the servant leadership should not just be preached by mouth, it has to be demonstrated. And secondly, I would want to implore upon all people of Africa that we must not be taken as icons of violence within or amongst ourselves, because we have seen African country fighting an African country when we are all brothers. We would want to preach about peace. We want unity amongst Africans. And let me also say here that most African countries will go into elections in the next few years to come, including Malawi. Time is now for us to start building on peace agenda so that no life is lost in Africa due to election. No blood is shed in Africa due to election. No tribal wars are established in Africa due to election. Election will come and go. This continent will still be here. So let us safeguard the continent for us, the present generations, and those that are coming, because it is doable, it is possible, it is manageable. And to my fellow writers, let us continue writing. And to the people of Africa, let's adopt the spirit of reading. When we write, we want others to read, because out of that, they will gain more things through our writing. We have had people like the Chinua Achebe. People still read Things Fall Apart by him, and we have learned a lot. Let us continue adopting that spirit so that we can keep our history and our norms intact. Africa is a great continent.
That's it, and it sounds great. So as we are going towards the end of our program, perhaps there are some other people who are far away from our bookshops, and for them maybe need to buy these books. So I'll give the numbers for our online digital marketing officers, so they can contact our online digital marketing officers for our services in case if you are far away from our bookshops. So I'll begin with the number for Airtel: 0982670335, and the number for TNM is 088634679 and they can also WhatsApp our digital marketing officer on the following number: 08841357110. If you contact our digital marketing officer, you'll be assisted accordingly. Perhaps, our dear viewers, this marks the end of our program. You were with me, Evans Kanangara, as your host, and our guest, PHILLIP Kamangira. Till we meet again, bye-bye.